Hey folks, welcome back. We got a quick update for you today talking about some of the stuff with the Christmas event, a kind of Q&A Nikita did with the BSG team. We'll go over some of the bug fixes and just some other little stuff with the patch so you guys are all caught up and up to speed with what's going on. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. All right, so let's go over the Q&A first. This was on BSG's, they do their live shows during this winter event. They do it every year. Nikita sat down with a couple of the devs and they had a discussion. They asked them some questions. And we got a little bit of information out of it. There was a lot of ranting and raving in there, but we still got some good info, and I'll pass that along to you guys. The first thing, big thing Nikita said is that Q1 of 2025 is going to be devoted to basically bugs, fixes, optimizations, and polishing. Now, that might just be a nice way of saying don't expect a lot of content because the team's not working on that. They're working on the other stuff. So we're going to be in that conundrum again. We've kind of been in it for about a year now, and BSG said that they're going to dial back content for 2024 and 2025, trying to get the game finished up and get it out. So it looks like that's just going to continue. They also talked about the Hideout Cat. We're getting little things in the Hideout that show the cat, like bowls and cat things like that, and that we're actually going to get a cat. The little Kerman hologram wasn't just a meme. They didn't troll us and say that was the cat. We are going to add a cat. It is going to be this year, but they wouldn't give any time frame. The next big thing was about Streets. Now, the thing about Streets is it is a huge map. It is crazy dense and just too detailed. And BSG has really struggled to try to get that to run well and have the performance they want so that people that don't have crazy computers can actually play on it. Not just that, it makes it harder on the server side for the servers to run all the stuff and all the processing and bots and all that kind of stuff. So they are looking at two options. The first one is a little less radical, and that is they're going to freeze essentially the time of day on Streets. So like Factory, where there's no time transition, you don't go from day to night, it's just a fixed time. They want to do that with Streets with maybe 4 to 6 different time frames. And apparently this will save a lot of performance because they don't need to live deal with lighting and shadows and stuff like that. So that was one idea. The more extreme one, and I don't know how likely this is, Nikita mentioned it, but it didn't seem like it was something they really wanted to do, but they might have to. And that is they're going to split Streets into 2 locations. And then these locations would be connected through transit, so you could go back and forth, but that would help them be able to fulfill more of what they want for Streets as far as player counts and how much AI and stuff is on it. Now, there's 2 things with this. One is to remember that we're only like, I think 65-70% of the overall map of Streets is in the game right now. It still needs to be bigger for the finished product that they have built. They just can't put it all together because it won't run. So while the map might get split, it's still going to be quite a bit bigger because they still have that, 30-40% of the map to put in. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. They didn't mention if we were going to get that this wipe, if it's going to be next wipe, if it's going to be with release. I think they're still testing it and working through it, trying to figure out what the best solution is going to be. Now, with this conversation, Nikita also said that there will be no new maps before release. But when asked about, overhauling, reworking, remastering maps, he played coy. He didn't want to say. To me, that means, yes, there's going to be more maps redone. And kind of little hints to that in my mind is, for those of you who don't know, we did get light switches on customs, like active ones. And some people are like, that's just stupid. Who cares? It's just detail on the map. It's little things. It's all little things that add up. But what I have noticed is on some other maps, like Reserve, for example, and Streets, these light switches are there and they were not there before. They are new additions. So I think we're going to start seeing these light switches show up on other maps and get this more interactive experience as they refresh and update other maps, like they just did Customs and they did Factory last wipe, or a couple of wipes ago. Now for Terminal, which a lot of people are wondering, some people, I guess there's a group of people that thought we might get it this wipe because of the teases. That's not the case. Nikita has always said that Terminal will not come until 1.0. We're not going to get it, and it's a product of what it is as a map. It's going to be pretty much a completely different system than the current raids that we normally run. It's going to be more of a single player experience. It's not a single player experience. He said almost a single player experience. And that's going to chalk up to, this is how you escape from Tarkov. So the storyline quest, it's going to be the last one you go to, all that kind of stuff. And to get through it, you have to do it on your first try. And if you fail, you die. And it's going to cost you a bunch of rubles and time to redo it or something. There's a lot of stuff that Nikita said that just leaves huge questions and holes in how the process is going to operate. So I don't want to get into it too much because it'll just create more questions than answers. But we're not going to see Terminal till 1.0, just to get that out there. Now, for those of you that aren't plugged into social media, we've seen a huge swing this wipe with how much BSG communicates and interacts with the community. They have been unusually active in a good way, like way over the top, with not just engaging with the community, but sharing information and letting people know what's going on. And this is a positive. I'm super happy about it. It's great to finally have this and have the feedback. We'll just see if they keep it up. It's very hard to do that, and it is very energy consuming to do it for the people that have to do it. So we'll see if it stays that way. They are constantly adjusting and tweaking the game. This is just as they dial in stuff and get this whole no flea market for the first 2 weeks and the found and raid flea figured out. Now, there is a big list of bug fixes. They've done like 3 or 4 patches over the last week. I'm going to cover the big ones so that you know something's fixed or not fixed. First one's BTR freezing. If you're solo, the BTR didn't freeze for you, but if you were in a squad, there was a chance that you try to climb into it and you kind of got stuck on the outside and you went for a ride, but if you disconnected, you got teleported back to where you were. Anyways, it's fixed. I haven't seen it happen since, but keep in mind that like a lot of things, these bugs get fixed and then can crop back up again, or there was something else causing that BSG didn't realize. And that's what's happening with the next bug. You've probably noticed maybe sometimes your sound cuts out completely, and sometimes it comes back right away, but most of the time it's just gone, like until you restart your game. And that's the only way I know of to fix it, is you Alt F4 and reconnect and your sound will be back on. And it's only happened to me twice, I think, maybe 3 times in over 100 hours of playing. So maybe I'm just lucky. But it is still happening. BSG said they patched it, but I've had it happen in my hideout since they've done that. And I know other people are saying that it's still happening. So just keep that in mind. They are working through to get that addressed. They did, however, fix the issue with kind of getting locked in place and rubber banding or teleporting. I'm not talking the stuff we're all experienced on maps where there's really bad rubber banding when like player scavs load in and stuff like that. It's more like you get stuck. You can't move. You're like tied to the ground with an invisible leash, and you try to move in any direction, just teleports and rubber bands you back. That was patched, and I haven't heard anybody say they've had it happen to them since, so huge positive there because that was a really bad bug. They also say they have fixed the transition bug, and if you're not aware, this is the one where if you transition from map to map, you had the potential to spawn at the same time in same place with a completely different team that wasn't you. So it could be 4-man spawning with 1 dude, it could be 1 dude spawning with 4 other dudes. It just depended on what side of the equation you were there, and it is just a bad thing. So they say they fixed it. Again, always take that with a grain of salt, but I have not heard anybody say they've had it happen since, so positive sign there. Next thing up, they fixed the Velociraptor, the new 300 Blackout AK that's got the integrated suppressor. It wasn't working towards suppressed tasks like Punisher 2. They corrected that so it would count. They've also moved bipods down from loyalty level 4 traders to 2, so they're more accessible. And then there were a ton of changes to scav gear and their loot pools and what they spawn with, and ammo and guns and backpacks and gear and all that kind of stuff. And yes, PVE did get some love too. They patched the early progression bug where basically you'd load into a raid, you'd play the raid, you'd extract, and then it was like nothing happened. They fixed that. Some client freezes, things there. They have fixed the Lightkeeper issues, apparently. I've only talked to like 2 people that were there. Both of their tasks were fixed, but again, that's not everybody. So hopefully, if that's something you've been trying to do on PvE is get Lightkeeper done, you should be able to go do that now. And then there was another issue on PvE with clothing purchases not showing up or being wiped or something. I'm not 100% sure, but they did patch issues with purchased clothes not showing up. And then lastly, you might not have even noticed this because you might have VoIP off, but VoIP was not working for like the first 2 days, maybe. I don't remember when they patched it, but it was like first 2 or 3 days, VoIP just didn't work. They did patch that and correct it, and it is fixed. Now, moving on to, this is not bugs, but this is just stuff that you guys, I want to share with you, little tips, whatever you want to call them, stuff that I figured out. Audio, binaural audio selection is removed. I've said this a couple times now, but I want to remind everybody again, you cannot turn off binaural audio now. There is supposedly some kind of trick where you can go into the config files, I guess, and screw around in there, but I don't recommend you do that. If you know what you're doing, you can ignore them if you want, but 2 things. 1, that's against terms of service. I don't think you're going to get banned for around with the turning off binaural audio. I just don't think they're looking for that, but it is still a risk. So if you're really set on it, go for it, but I just don't like screwing around in config files. It's something beyond where I like playing around in multiplayer games anyways. And 2, turning that off, I haven't seen anybody show that it actually if they do that system, that actually turns it off. There's a chance that yeah, sure, you change the config file, but it doesn't turn off binaural audio or does something weird. We don't know. So keep in mind that you have binaural audio on now, no matter what. And in order for it to operate properly, you cannot have any third-party audio systems working on your computer. And there's an unlistable number of them. I think SteelSeries has some. There's some 3D spatial stuff. All of that has to be turned off, or it will f with your Tarkov audio bad. And this includes spatial audio in Windows, which is a setting that I guess is supposedly defaulted off, but mine was on way back when I first discovered this. This is years ago, when like Steam audio days, I think. But anyways, make sure your spatial audio is off. Just go to your Windows search bar, type in spatial audio. It'll pop up, and just make sure that's turned off. Next up is keybind issues. These show up in lots of different ways. The first way I noticed was screenshots. I couldn't take screenshots. Just hit print screen and nothing would happen. You have to rebind the key. It's still there. You look at it, it says print screen. You rebind it, hit print screen again, and then it just says print or something. So it changes the text. There have been other cases where this has been a problem. So if you're noticing a keybind not working, just go rebind it and see if that fixes your problem. Next up is Christmas tree crafts. Again, I will remind you guys that this does not last forever, and once the event goes away, you lose access. So even if a craft is finished, if you do not collect it before they take the Christmas tree away, you will not get it. If your craft is crafting when they take the Christmas tree away, you will not get it. So we don't have a date listed yet. I will keep trying to ask to see if they'll let us know at least when they're going to take the Christmas tree away. But usually it's been the morning of the 7th in Russia, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little bit later. But I would say if you're in the United States, plan on having your Christmas tree stuff done by like the middle of probably Monday morning or Monday afternoon, just to be sure. If you're going any longer than that, you're really risking not getting your item. So you've been warned. It's not cool. It sucks that we don't get known, but this has been the way it's been for, what have the Christmas tree's been around for 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. It's just the way it always is. One little tip though, one little trick with the Christmas balls, you can actually convert them in your cultist circle, but you can only do one of each kind. A red turns into a white turns into a purple, and a purple turns into a red. If you stick that in there, you can only do it with one ball, and you can only do it one time with each kind. It doesn't work multiple though. I wish they did. That's kind of silly. So just keep that in mind for Christmas stuff. But that's all I got for you guys. As always, quick shout out to my music. Link is down in the description. Made in conjunction with VoIP Records. It's free to listen to. It supports me. It's good lo-fi music. Great to listen to in the background. If you're a content creator, you can use it yourself for free. We don't copyright strike or DMC takedown. All we ask is that you attribute us so people know where to find it. But other than that, it's completely free. So go check it out. Let me know what songs you like if you want to and how much you use it. That supports me as well. So we'll wrap her up there. As always, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate having you around. Don't forget that like and subscribe if you like the content and want to see more of it. That's how it works. But I wish you the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.